The human experience is filled with complexities, and among the most challenging aspects of life is dealing with people who harbor genuine animosity toward us. Whether it's workplace bullies, former friends turned enemies, jealous acquaintances, or individuals who simply seem to dislike us for reasons we may never fully understand. These relationships can cause significant emotional distress and consume precious mental energy. The natural human response when faced with hatred or hostility is often to fight back, to defend ourselves aggressively, or to plot revenge. However, there exists a far more powerful and ultimately more satisfying approach that requires no physical confrontation, no direct retaliation, and no lowering of your own moral standards. The concept of hurting those who hate you without lifting a finger isn't about causing genuine harm or pain in the traditional sense. Instead, it's about employing strategies that naturally neutralize their negative impact on your life, while simultaneously demonstrating your strength, character, and resilience. These approaches work because they fundamentally shift the power dynamic, taking away the ability of your detractors to control your emotions, reactions, and life trajectory. When implemented correctly, these methods don't just protect you from the negativity of others, they actually transform you into a stronger, more confident, and more successful version of yourself. The psychology behind why these approaches are so effective lies in understanding what truly drives people who harbor hatred or resentment toward others. In most cases, such individuals are motivated by their own insecurities, feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, or a need to feel superior by bringing others down. They derive satisfaction from knowing they've gotten under your skin, from seeing you react emotionally from witnessing your distress or failure. When you remove these sources of satisfaction and instead present them with evidence of your continued growth, happiness, and success, you effectively neutralize their power while simultaneously forcing them to confront their own shortcomings. 3. First and perhaps most powerful way to neutralize those who hate you is through the practice of living exceptionally well. This isn't about superficial displays of wealth or status, but rather about cultivating a life of genuine fulfillment, purpose, and joy. When you focus your energy on becoming the best version of yourself, pursuing your passions with dedication, maintaining healthy relationships, and achieving your goals, you create a stark contrast that naturally highlights the emptiness of their hatred. People who spend their time focusing on bringing others down are, by definition, not spending that time building themselves up. While they're consumed with negative thoughts about you, you're busy creating positive experiences, learning new skills, and making meaningful contributions to the world around you. Living well as a form of indirect response to hatred involves several key components. First, it requires you to maintain your physical and mental health as priorities. This means establishing routines that support your well-being, whether through regular exercise, proper nutrition, adequate sleep, or stress management techniques. When you feel good physically, you naturally project confidence and vitality that can be unsettling to those who wish to see you suffer. Similarly, investing in your mental health through practices like meditation, therapy, journaling, or mindfulness helps you develop emotional resilience that makes you less susceptible to the negative energy others try to project onto you. Career and personal development represent another crucial aspect of living well. When you're consistently growing, learning, and advancing in your professional or personal endeavors, you demonstrate a forward momentum that contrasts sharply with the stagnant energy of those consumed by hatred. This doesn't mean you need to achieve massive success overnight, but rather that you maintain a commitment to continuous improvement and goal achievement. Every skill you develop, every project you complete, every milestone you reach serves as evidence of your focus on positive pursuits rather than negative preoccupations. The cultivation of meaningful relationships also plays a vital role in this approach. When you surround yourself with supportive, loving people who appreciate your worth, you create a social network that serves as both a buffer against negativity and a source of genuine fulfillment. These relationships provide perspective during difficult times and remind you of your value when others try to diminish it. Moreover, the joy and satisfaction derived from healthy relationships naturally radiate outward, creating an aura of contentment that can be particularly frustrating to those who wish to see you isolated or unhappy. Financial stability and independence, while not the sole measure of a life well lived, certainly contribute to your ability to make choices based on your values rather than circumstances. When you're not dependent on others for your basic needs or happiness, you possess a freedom that allows you to rise above petty conflicts and focus on what truly matters. This independence also means you're less vulnerable to manipulation or control attempts from those who harbor ill will toward you. The second powerful approach involves mastering the art of indifference and emotional detachment. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring, but rather developing the ability to remain emotionally unaffected by the negative actions or words of others. Indifference is perhaps the most devastating response to hatred because it completely removes the satisfaction that haters derive from their behavior. When someone tries to hurt you, and you respond with genuine indifference, it sends a clear message that they hold no power over your emotional state or life satisfaction. Developing true indifference requires understanding that other people's opinions and actions are ultimately reflections of their own internal state, rather than objective truths about you. When someone expresses hatred or tries to undermine you, they're revealing their own insecurities, fears, or unresolved issues. This perspective shift allows you to view their behavior with a degree of detachment and even compassion, rather than taking it personally. You begin to see their negativity as their problem to solve, not your burden to carry. The practice of emotional detachment involves several practical strategies. One of the most effective is the development of what psychologists call cognitive distance from negative situations. This means learning to observe conflicts or hostile behavior as if you were watching a movie, rather than being personally involved in the drama. You acknowledge what's happening without allowing it to trigger strong emotional responses that could cloud your judgment or lead to regrettable actions. Another crucial aspect of mastering indifference is learning to control your reactions in real time. This requires developing awareness of your emotional triggers and practicing response strategies that maintain your composure regardless of provocation. Deep breathing techniques, mental reframing exercises, and the ability to pause before responding all contribute to your capacity to remain unaffected by others' attempts to disturb your peace. The power of silence cannot be overstated in this context. Often, the most effective response to hatred or hostility is no response at all. When you refuse to engage in arguments, defend yourself against baseless accusations, or react to provocative behavior, you deny your detractors the reaction they're seeking. This silence isn't passive or weak. It's a deliberate choice that demonstrates your strength and self-control. Over time, most people who are trying to get a rise out of you will become frustrated by your lack of reaction and either escalate their behavior to the point where it becomes obviously inappropriate to others, or they'll lose interest and move on to easier targets. The third method involves the strategic use of success and achievement as a form of natural consequence. This approach recognizes that the best revenge is often simply becoming so successful and fulfilled that your detractors' opinions become irrelevant. When you achieve your goals and live according to your values, you create a reality that speaks louder than any words or actions directed against you. Success in this context isn't limited to traditional markers like wealth or fame, but encompasses any form of achievement that brings you satisfaction and demonstrates your capabilities. The Camersian psychology behind why success is so effective against hatred lies in the fact that it provides irrefutable evidence of your worth and capabilities. No matter what negative things people might say about you, your achievements stand as concrete proof of your abilities and character. This creates a cognitive dissonance for those who harbor negative feelings toward you, as they must reconcile their negative beliefs with the positive evidence of your accomplishments. Moreover, success often brings with it a natural social protection. When you're known for your achievements, contributions, or positive qualities, it becomes much more difficult for others to damage your reputation or credibility through negative comments or actions. People are generally more inclined to believe and support those who have demonstrated their worth through their actions, rather than those who merely criticize others. The pursuit of success as a response to hatred also serves a deeply personal function. It channels your energy and attention toward positive, constructive activities, rather than allowing you to become consumed by negative thoughts or revenge fantasies. Every hour you spend working toward your goals is an hour not spent dwelling on the actions or opinions of those who wish you ill. This redirection of energy not only leads to better outcomes in your life, but also contributes to better mental health and emotional well-being. It's important to note that the success we're discussing here isn't motivated by a desire to show them or prove your worth to your detractors. That kind of externally motivated achievement often leads to emptiness and doesn't provide the deep satisfaction that comes from pursuing goals aligned with your own values and desires. Instead, the most powerful form of success is that which springs from your own intrinsic motivation and contributes to your genuine happiness and fulfillment. The fourth and perhaps most sophisticated approach involves the cultivation of grace, kindness, and moral superiority through your actions and character. This method is particularly powerful because it forces others to confront the contrast between their negative behavior and your positive response. When someone treats you poorly and you respond with kindness, patience, or even compassion, it often creates a situation where their behavior appears petty, cruel, or unjustified to outside observers. This approach doesn't mean becoming a doormat or allowing others to mistreat you without consequence. Rather, it involves maintaining your standards of behavior regardless of how others choose to act. You refuse to allow their negativity to diminish your character or cause you to behave in ways that contradict your values. This consistency in maintaining high standards often highlights the inconsistency and poor character of those who harbor hatred toward you. The power of this approach lies partly in its effect on third-party observers. When conflicts arise between people, others naturally form opinions about who is right and who is wrong based on the behavior they witness. If you consistently respond to hatred with grace while your detractor responds with continued hostility, it becomes clear to most reasonable people which person is behaving appropriately. This social dynamic often works in your favor, as you gain support and respect while your detractor may find themselves isolated or viewed negatively by others. Additionally, maintaining grace under pressure often has a transformative effect on the person harboring hatred toward you. While this isn't the primary goal and shouldn't be expected in every situation, there are many cases where consistent kindness and respect eventually disarm even the most hostile individuals. Some people who initially hate you may come to respect your character, or even develop guilt about their previous behavior when confronted with your consistent grace. The practice of grace also includes the ability to forgive, though this forgiveness is primarily for your own benefit, rather than for the benefit of those who have wronged you. Holding on to anger, resentment, or hatred creates ongoing emotional burden that affects your mental health, relationships, and overall life satisfaction. When you choose to forgive, you release yourself from this burden and free up emotional energy for more positive pursuits. This doesn't mean forgetting harmful behavior or failing to protect yourself from future harm. Forgiveness and wisdom can coexist, allowing you to release negative emotions while still maintaining appropriate boundaries and making smart choices about future interactions. You can forgive someone while still recognizing that they may not be trustworthy or that limiting contact with them is in your best interest. The cultivation of grace also involves developing empathy and understanding for those who harbor negative feelings toward you. This doesn't excuse their behavior or minimize its impact, but it can help you respond from a place of strength rather than reactivity. Often, people who express hatred toward others are struggling with their own pain, insecurity, or disappointment. Understanding this can help you maintain perspective and respond in ways that don't escalate conflicts or create additional problems. Throughout all of these approaches, it's crucial to maintain focus on your own growth, happiness, and well-being, rather than on the reactions or responses of those who dislike you. The moment you start measuring the success of your actions based on whether they're having the desired effect on your detractors, you've given them power over your choices and emotional state. The true power of these methods lies in their ability to improve your life regardless of how others respond. The cumulative effect of implementing these strategies is often profound. Over time, you develop a resilience and inner strength that makes you largely immune to the negative actions of others. You begin to operate from a place of confidence and self-assurance that doesn't require external validation or the defeat of your enemies. Your life becomes so full of positive experiences, meaningful relationships, and personal achievements that the opinions and actions of those who dislike you become increasingly irrelevant. This transformation often leads to what might be called effortless victory over those who once caused you distress. Without actively trying to defeat them or prove them wrong, you've created a life so fulfilling and successful that their negativity appears petty and inconsequential by comparison. They may continue to harbor negative feelings toward you, but these feelings no longer have the power to affect your happiness, success, or self-worth. In many cases, you'll find that people who once seemed consumed with hatred toward you either lose interest over time, develop grudging respect for your character and achievements, or simply fade into irrelevance as your life expands beyond the sphere of their influence. The energy they once spent focusing on you may eventually be redirected toward their own lives, sometimes leading to their own growth and improvement. It's worth noting that these approaches require patience and consistency. Unlike direct confrontation or retaliation, which can provide immediate but temporary satisfaction, the methods described here work gradually over time. They require you to maintain your standards and continue your positive actions even when you don't see immediate results or when facing continued provocation. However, the long-term benefits of this approach far exceed those of more aggressive strategies. The psychological benefits of handling hatred in this manner extend far beyond the immediate situation. You develop emotional maturity, resilience, and self-control that serve you well in all areas of life. You learn to derive your sense of worth from internal sources rather than external validation or the defeat of others. You cultivate the ability to maintain peace and happiness even in challenging circumstances. Furthermore, these approaches often inspire others who witness your behavior. Your ability to remain gracious under pressure, pursue your goals despite opposition, and maintain your values in difficult circumstances can serve as a powerful example for friends, family members, colleagues, and even strangers who observe your actions. In this way, your response to hatred can have positive ripple effects that extend far beyond your immediate situation. The ultimate irony of these methods is that by focusing on your own growth and happiness rather than on defeating your enemies, you often achieve a more complete and satisfying victory than would be possible through direct confrontation. You've not only neutralized their ability to harm you, but you've also improved your own life in the process. You've demonstrated that their negativity is powerless against your commitment to living well and maintaining your character. In conclusion, the 4 ways to hurt those who hate you without lifting a finger represent a sophisticated understanding of human psychology and the nature of true power. Living well, maintaining indifference, achieving success, and cultivating grace are not just defensive strategies against hatred, but positive approaches to life that lead to genuine fulfillment and strength. They require no cruelty, no lowering of standards, and no compromise of values. Instead, they elevate you while naturally diminishing the power of those who wish you ill. The greatest victory over hatred is not to destroy your enemies, but to become so strong, successful, and content that their enmity becomes irrelevant to your happiness and success.